Good morning. It is Wednesday, September 7th, 2011. And for today's discussion, instead of going down to the tropics, I'm just going to focus specifically on this rainstorm and the flash flooding that is starting to develop throughout the entire northern Atlantic. Of course, we have Hurricane Katia that will have an impact on the northern Atlantic, but a positive impact later on in the forecast period. And of course, we have the remnants and what's left over of Tropical Storm Lee. And as many of you know, especially if you're around the Delaware River Valley and over portions of northwest New Jersey through the Hudson River Valley, we've seen significant rainfall over the past 24 to 48 hours. Rainfall amounts range anywhere from 3 to 6 inches, and more rain is on the way. However, I do have some good news. Notice this area right here. See how the moisture is becoming enhanced and moving from south to north. That's an important feature, which I will point out in just a few minutes, of exactly what is happening here and why it is important for the northern Mid-Atlantic. So first, let's go look at the surface map. You can see where our rainfall is really focused right now from central New York down through central Pennsylvania and then off towards Virginia. And this area of rainfall is training over the same location throughout the entire morning. Meanwhile, the northern Mid-Atlantic, much of the Philadelphia and New York City metropolitan area, are exhibiting scattered showers, overcast skies, rather raw weather conditions with winds coming in from the east and northeast. Now, when we look at 850 millibars, this is a really important feature here to keep an eye on. This is the 850 millibar moisture advection. Basically, this is upper level, mid-level wind, should I say, transporting a great deal of tropical moisture from the Gulf of Mexico all the way up the East Coast and focusing where? Well, central Pennsylvania and central New York. To the north and the west of this area of strong advection is where you're getting your steady rainfall. Now, to the east of this area of advection, basically where the entire New York City and Philadelphia metropolitan area is located, the lifting is not as impressive, and therefore the showers and thunderstorms are not as widespread. And because the atmosphere is relatively stable, any thunderstorms that do develop will be elevated in nature. So what this points out, what this will produce over the next 48 hours is a period of overcast skies, a constant risk of showers and thunderstorms throughout the entire 48 hours. Again, the thunderstorms will be elevated in nature, likely not severe. The best potential for any type of severe potential will be over southern New Jersey. It's like Cape May County, Atlantic County, Camden, Cumberland, those areas there. But for the most part, what we're going to be dealing with are showers producing heavy downpours. But the good news, especially if you go into the Yankees game this afternoon or the Phillies game this evening, is that although conditions will be rather wet and damp and raw, you will have plenty of breaks in the rainfall to get your baseball games in, and hopefully you're not there until 10 o'clock at night waiting for the game to be played. So let's take a look at the rivers throughout the region, and as you can see here, for much of eastern Pennsylvania and New Jersey, most locations are below the moderate flood stage. We do have one area right here around Gratford, Pennsylvania. It's at moderate flood stage. And we have another area of flooding potential in northeast New Jersey, again, the Raritan and Passaic River valleys, where right now, let's see which, this is the Wanakay River area. There's moderate flooding in this location. And unfortunately, this flooding is only going to get worse. And I do expect major flooding to start to break out in northeastern New Jersey and, of course, in eastern Pennsylvania, central eastern Pennsylvania. And the reason why is not just because of the rain that has fallen over the region, but also because of the heavy rain falling on the river basins to the north. All that rainfall has to work south. And as a result, these rivers are going to rise in their basins and, of course, unfortunately produce flash flooding. When we look at the New York City metropolitan area as far as flooding, again, northeastern Pennsylvania stands out. Connecticut's not doing all that bad. There are a few locations, like around Stevenson, where there is minor flooding. but most locations, actually all locations in Connecticut, are below the moderate flood stage, so that's an excellent sign for Connecticut. But unfortunately, it looks like northeastern New Jersey, once again, is going to be the bullseye for the potential for flash flooding, and of course also much of northeastern and eastern Pennsylvania. So let's take a look at the forecast going forward. We'll just position this. Perfect. All right. So this afternoon, our upper level low is moving into Ohio River Valley. That, of course, will keep Katia off of the East Coast and moving towards the northern Atlantic in the next 48 hours. And notice this area of sinking air that's starting to develop over the northern mid-Atlantic. So for the most part, we're dealing with the steady rainfall over central Pennsylvania, scattered showers, and elevated thunderstorms over the New York City and Philadelphia metropolitan area. On through tonight, we're dealing with the same situation. Thursday as well, scattered showers, not widespread, but continuing to be a threat. But Thursday night into Friday, we actually start to dry out a bit. Notice that we start getting this ridge axis here, and the moisture in the atmosphere starts to decrease significantly. And that's because of the sinking influence, the sinking air behind our hurricane that will set up along the immediate coast, which will allow us to dry out just a little bit. Now, I'm not expecting clear skies, but I do expect some breaks in the clouds, drier conditions, only an isolated threat of showers on Friday. Unfortunately, that will not last as we move in towards the weekend. This disturbance has to exit off of the coast, and as a result, we're going to be dealing with scattered showers throughout the weekend. Not widespread, but still a nuisance. And then we don't really have a chance of high pressure returning until Tuesday and Wednesday, when we really get to dry out ahead of yet another cold front that will approach by Thursday with more scattered showers and thunderstorms. So we're dealing with a very wet pattern here. Flash flooding is going to be a problem, especially in the Raritan and Passaic River valleys and the Lehigh River Valley. Those locations, if you live near those locations, be prepared for periods of flash flooding due to all this heavy rainfall. Stay safe out there. I'm your meteorologist, Stephen DiMartino. Thank you for trusting in NYNJPA Weather as your severe weather source for the Northern Mid-Atlantic.